Thank you so much for joining us on this 4th of July weekend. Joining me in studio is Elliot Serrano, the Chief Geek Officer of the Patti Vasquez Show and King of Geeks Citywide. Also guest co-hosting today is Dwayne Kennedy, Emmy Award-winning comedian, writer-producer. You know him from Totally Biased on FX with Kamau Bell and the United States of America also with Kamau Bell. And we'll talk about Kamau later because we started at the same time. I think I've told you this story before. Really, really wonderful comedian. And another wonderful performer, singer-songwriter Gwen Levey joins us. She's written the song Barefoot and Pregnant. And we want to get you to Chicago. Gwen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's nice to be back. Oh,
we love having you. And I should play. Let me for my listeners. Let me play a little bit of your song because I realized I didn't set this up well enough. So here's a little bit of "Barefoot and Pregnant" by singer-songwriter Gwen Levey. Great song, Gwen, and I know that you have been working with some of the legislatures. I love this. Is this an IUD in front of the Tennessee Legislative Building? Is it in front of the Capitol? Where is this?
Right in front of the Tennessee Capitol, and it was actually bouncing around Nashville, other areas as well. And it definitely got some interesting looks for sure. It's like a 20-foot giant inflatable IUD.
I'm not going to ask.
And you're with some of the. I believe you're at least with one of the Tennessee 3 that was thrown out of the legislature for trying to get gun legislation passed. Is that right?
Yes, Gloria Johnson, who is amazing and I've looked up to, asked me to be there and perform the song in front of the IUD and also just share my story. So it was an incredible day for sure.
And what kind of response are you starting to get more people who need this sort of? I talk about heavy topics with some mirth, which comedian Dwayne Kennedy specializes in, and I think that's what this is our way of expressing ourselves. Our rage and our frustration is to put it into an art form that's recognizable but has a lot of rage in it. And I love that about your song.
Thank you. We call it Rage Country. A new genre.
It is a new Rage Country. I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like, to go back to your question, it's been harder because, Meta released that, they limited political content on their app. So it's harder to get the word out about the song. So I've been having to censor a lot of words I say so that it doesn't get into the political algorithm so that the song does reach more people. So it's kind of one of those things where, yes, it's reaching people, but it's also been quite a challenge to get it out there to people through social media, which is how we connected too. So it's just an unfortunate thing that Meta has done.
Oh God, is that frustrating? I mean, it's because political satire is also such an important part of the landscape. I mean, like that's how I got into comedy, was listening to political comedians like Will Durst and Jimmy Tingle. So if their clips, let's say, are there political comics that are out there that are getting censored by Meta? Because that's essentially what Gwen's being censored for.
Mm. Yeah. You don't see them on Meta. But I can't remember the last political cartoonist I've seen. These days, if you want to find that sort of thing, you got to go to YouTube for it. Maybe, you're not going to see it on a reel or anything like that. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, so they did the damage, and now they don't want to be part of the correction of the solution.
Yeah. And you don't even get the option to go, you think you'd have the option to say, okay, I want to limit political content on my account, but Meta's doing it automatically. Whenever you refresh the app, it just goes back to the same setting. So, definitely a little something fishy there for sure going on with Meta. I'm just like, okay, who's in your pocket?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's Gwen Levey and thebreakdown.com then for you so you can have access to the music and the work that she's doing. And I love that you really are taking the Nashville scene by storm. But at least, are you able to book some of the live performances? I know we're working on getting you, I know Jerry's trying to get a spot for you so we can do a live show, and I think that would be amazing. So are you doing...
Yes. Incredible. But yeah, here in Nashville, it's been fine booking shows. Actually, more shows we have, more people are showing up with the Gwen Levey and the Breakdown shirts. And I think the song is really, there's a buzz here in Nashville about it, which is really exciting. So I think people are really motivated and by the song. And I think it's going to inspire people, at least people that are listening to the music, to vote.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's a big part of the goal, but you also want to reach as many people as possible. And in a state that has such strident abortion regulations, what kind of laws what is the movement now? Because I know Louisiana just made mifepristone illegal to carry and distribute. So which is just, they've made it a felony in Louisiana.
It's absolutely just wild what's going on. And in Tennessee, we have, I think one of the strictest bans where there's no exceptions. And also, they just passed an abortion trafficking bill that went into effect July 1st. So basically, anyone who helps a minor get an abortion or tells them how they can get an abortion, where they can get an abortion, or drives them out of state, you could be prosecuted up to like 7 years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Bill Lee just signed that, and then it just went into effect. So it's been nerve-wracking for me, just as a creator, someone who's talking about abortion, because that's what they want, is to prosecute people like me who are putting this information out to help people. And really, what they're trying to do is trap women in these states so that they can't leave if they're pregnant. And it's like, what's the next step going to be? Are you going to make every woman who's crossing the state line take a pregnancy test? It's just gotten so out of hand. I think it's just gone so out of hand here, especially in Tennessee.
Have you talked to any women who are thinking about moving? Because I talked to a woman in Louisiana, in New Orleans, who said that she has 2 daughters, and she's like, I love my city, but I don't think I can stay here. It's not safe for them. Are you having those kinds of conversations?
Yes, I have, I know a few people that are talking about it, and they have families here, and I know someone who has 2 children here, and even, with everything like the voucher scam that's been going on, it's just been, like I said, kind of a mess in Tennessee, unfortunately. It's been very toxic, and I know a woman who, she had an ectopic pregnancy, and she basically lost a fallopian tube because she had to go in front of a board. And they waited too long, and so basically she lost the fallopian tube, and that it's limiting your ability to actually create life and have children, because it's damaging your fertility, these laws. So just more and more people, their stories are coming out, and people have been sharing their stories with me on social media, and it's so heartbreaking that this is happening. And I know my mom, she marched for abortion rights in the 70s, and she's just like, I just can't believe it's going backwards. And we have less rights now than I did when my mother and grandmother, were, well, not my age, but, 1973. So.
Wow. Can I just go back for a second? Because you said that your friend had to go, or a woman you spoke to had to go in front of a board to explain why was she with the medical professionals who were using data-based, evidence-based, medically, sound-based information in order, what kind of a board were they in front of? Were they legislators? Were they, lawyers? Some guy off the street was like, that doesn't sound right. What is happening?
I'm actually not quite sure what the board is. I believe they're politicians who don't have medical degrees making these decisions about whether you can have an emergency abortion here. And my friend Allie Phillips is someone, and I'm sure you know her story, who had to travel out of state to get an abortion because she wasn't granted one here. And she almost died, and she almost lost her life. So these boards, I actually don't know exactly the details, but I know that they are politicians that have come in and set up this, kind of, almost like a Supreme Court kind of feel. You have to go in front of them and they have to grant you access. And it could be a weekend. You say you have an ectopic pregnancy and they're out golfing or something and they just don't want to gather together. And then what are you left? You're just left to bleed out and, not only lose, and possibly lose your life.
There was another woman out of Tennessee. I believe it was last year. She found out that there was a significant defect that was going to affect the pregnancy, and she couldn't afford. She would have to leave the state. She didn't have leave from her work. Her husband wasn't able to take time off, and you should have to leave this, the comfort and safety of your community, of your home, because recovering from this sort of a treatment is also intense. But she ended up delivering a baby that is severely disabled, may not survive, has to have all this equipment and medication. And people, by the way, I don't know if you remember this, Elliot, when I was at the other radio station, people would call up and be like, what if you'd aborted Declan? And I'm like, what I do is not, Gwen, my son is severely disabled. And one of the reasons I started advocating and working in Springfield was because there are specifically moms who never reconcile what happened to their pregnancy, what happened to their child. There are women who take the lives of their children because there isn't enough support. They become so psychologically distressed. They have a mental break, and to make a woman follow through on a path in life that is excruciatingly difficult. And I'm guessing Tennessee, it doesn't have the kind of supports to make sure that she has everything she needs. She can't work anymore because she now has a severely disabled child that needs 24-hour care. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's really the hypocrisy here, is that they're basically forcing people who aren't emotionally, physically, financially capable to have children, and then they always make the argument, well, there's adoption, but that's really traumatic in itself. Being forced to give birth to a child, then you have to, give them away into a foster system that is completely broken. And I mean, Tennessee, there isn't any, and all states where abortion is banned, there aren't any sort of benefits for women or families to have this extra child. So basically, it's just this huge, emotional, physical, financial burden that's put on these families or these pregnant people. And I know it's been happening. Roe's been overturned for a little over 2 years now, and we're just starting to see the effects. As they always say, it takes 2 years. But so many people are talking about how there's children here in Tennessee, 13-year-olds who were raped, and they're forced to have their uncle's child. It's really a reality, and I'm actually getting creepy goosebumps thinking about it. But it's just people are really suffering because of these bans. And I did talk to someone who is conservative because I like to have discussions with people across party lines because that's how you really affect change. And they were saying they don't believe in abortion, but they would never, force their own beliefs on someone else. And the problem, too, is that with these bans, there's all these horrible ramifications that are happening that are so detrimental to, people really being able to be able to function in society.
That is horrifying. Are you seeing any positive movement toward voting? I mean, it's insane. I can't imagine Tennessee voting any other way than I don't know if it's gerrymandered or it's these deeply entrenched, Christian, Christo-fascist sort of ideology that seems to have consumed so much of different parts of the country. Are you seeing any positive movement towards, folks going, we can't let this happen and we have to do all the work to get people out to vote and vote for Democrats?
I definitely feel like there's more movements happening all around the country, especially in the South, for abortion rights. I think they just got enough signatures to get abortion rights on the ballot in Arkansas, so that's a really big deal. And any time abortion has been on the ballot, it has always won. So with Tennessee, we're not allowed to, I'm not exactly sure what the correct terminology is, but basically we can't make a vote like that because of our state laws. They've made it so that we can't have a vote for abortion on our ballot. So,
wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
But,
No. That's not great. So for folks, and again, there's this young man. I don't know if you guys have seen this, because if you and I, we all scroll through reels and stuff. There's this young guy who's like, he's some influencer who's screaming about like, Biden wants another term to save abortion. You're the president now. You can fix it. It's not how it works. But also, this Project 2025 for abortion, they want to reverse the FDA's approval of abortion medication, invoke a 150-year-old defunct law called the Comstock Law. We've talked about that a little bit, to ban the shipment of abortion pills. And they want to compel states, to Gwen Levey's point about the board, right? They want to compel states to also report the reason for every single abortion, which then, but that's also to make people not want to perform abortions.
Right.
That you don't have to explain it, so you don't do it, and they might be out golfing. Like Gwen, am I screaming, Gwen? I didn't mean to start screaming. How are you doing? It's Friday. Yeah. Okay. What can we do to help you? What can folks do to support you? Buy your music. Folks know any venues. If you have any folks that own great, places for music, reach out to Gwen Levey and thebreakdown.com. Is that right?
Yes, please. And, my merch sales, which includes CDs, T-shirts, a portion of that goes to Abortion Care Tennessee or Healthy Free Tennessee, which are organizations that are doing the hard work here, trying to get people access to abortion who need it. If they could support the song, then I can also help support these organizations that really need our help now more than ever.
Folks, go to Gwen Levey and the Breakdown. That's is that me?
No, that's me.
I do
Sorry.
that all the time, Elliot. Don't worry about it. Gwen Levey, that's GwenLevey, and thebreakdown.com. And buy her music, buy a t-shirt. I'm going to buy a t-shirt. I didn't know that there were t-shirts on the website. I'm a t-shirt girl. You got any baseball hats yet? I'm just kidding. I'll get a t-shirt.
Yeah, but I definitely need to make them, and I would love to see you in a Gwen Levey and the Breakdown t-shirt.
All right, I'm going to order one. I'm going to order one today. Gwen, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We'd love to have you on again soon. And reach out if anything happens. But I know that Jerry and you are in contact, and we're trying to get something done before the end of the summer. Okay?
That'd be fantastic.
I look forward.
So
I look forward to opening for you. Maybe Dwayne and I'll do a little comedy before the show.
Oh my gosh, it'd be amazing.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much, Gwen. Have a good weekend. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for doing this music. Thank you for being so brave. I know it's not easy where you are. You're doing the right thing, and we really appreciate you and want to continue to support you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye, Gwen.
Bye.
Bye. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. 773-763-9278. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And hi to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.